Now, a quick heads up on this assignment. Sometimes you'll start and 5 minutes in, you'll feel like you're done. If that's the case, save that out as a copy and then either keep playing with it or start a new one. You may end up with a better result. There are other times where you might work on it for 2 or 3 hours and it's just not going anywhere. If that's the case, also just save it out, open up a new one and work fresh. You never know what you'll stumble upon on your next go. Now, you'll also realize that since art's pretty subjective and I only have 10 out of 100 points reserved for myself to be subjective on, what am I going to be grading on? Well, is it the correct size? Is it the correct resolution? Did you clearly use your layer blending modes? Did you clearly use more than one layer? Did you utilize full layer blending? Did you have a cohesive design that's coherent in style? And did you control your colors? And again, if you refer to the original image, coherent in style, so the effects look intentional. Cohesive in design, there aren't pieces that are unnaturally popping out. And the colors are under control so that everything is more or less looking okay. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at this as I move my microphone around a little bit. I'm just going to pop over to my blending modes and let's see how these will fit together. Let's grab maybe this dude. He looks a little angry, but we might be able to do something fun with him. Pop him over. Oh yeah, this should work. He's huge. So that's black and white. We need some color and things. Maybe we could. Oh, what would this lion look like? Let's just start grabbing some pieces. Oh, this is a colorful piece. Let's pop that in. That might work well too. Now, keep in mind, we can go in and start blending things immediately. And the darken modes will make things darker. So if we really want to keep stuff around, we might want to pull this up. Now, remember, we have something like luminosity, but now the colors look terrible. You want to avoid that. But we could do something like screen or maybe light and color to go across. This looks a little rough. Let's go ahead and stick with screen and knock down that fill opacity a bit. Now, not liking how that goes. Let's go ahead and reverse these. Set this to a normal mode. I'm going to get rid of this background entirely. I don't want to work with that. I'm going to pop this over on screen. So I think that's looking a little bit better, but I think this might be time for blend if. Let's go and pop this open. And I'm just going to punch anything white up through. And I'll make this a bit fuzzier. Not quite that fuzzy. So Alt-click to split it. Just a bit going on. Alt-click to split it. We'll fade a little bit out. All right, so we've got some lightning effects already happening in here. This still feels a little bright. I'm going to go ahead and just push this down a bit. Now, I'm going to say this again. The 8 layers that are affected differently with the fill opacity as compared to the standard opacity are multiply, color burn, linear burn, color dodge, linear dodge, add, vivid light, linear light, hard mix, and difference. Which brings up the question, why on screen do I frequently go over to the fill? That way, if I do switch over to something like multiply, it will have those effects already going in at the stronger style. In fact, I like that a lot better. Let's go ahead and put that on multiply. Okay, so we've got a good basis to start with. Let's keep working. Let's grab another image. Let's see. Ooh. Oh, that could be good. What else could be really useful here? Maybe something right on the eye. Ooh, we've got the planet Earth. Let's see if this is big enough to be useful. Oh, that seems promising. Now, lightning modes will knock out all the blacks. So we'll start with the screen. I'm going to hit Z on the keyboard to get my magnifying glass. Hold down the Alt key to zoom out a bit. V for the move tool, Control T to transform it, Control T. Now, if I'm going to be swinging stuff around, what do you want to do? I'm going to set it out of screen into normal real quick, and I'm going to set this to be a smart object. Now I can safely do a transformation and reverse that transformation later. So Control T. Let's bring that over. Set this to screen. I like how that looks like a lens. If I were to duplicate that, I could have one Earth on each side and really start getting some sunglasses. If I got an image of some sunglasses, I'd be able to really get in there. But for now, let's go ahead. I'm going to hold down Alt to constrain this. Let's just get this more in his eye. Now, one thing to watch out, I am starting to immediately push things to the center of the image. That's generally bad for composition. You want things to be a little more offset. So I'm just going to shift click everything, get my move tool. That looks about as far as we can move it. So what do you do in the event that an image needs more black? Well, you can do this. I'm going to fill a layer with pure black behind it and then just merge it down. Now, instead of pure black, I'm just going to grab this color with my eyedropper, fill it up. There we go. See how it blends in so beautifully? Now I can merge down. Now I've got more space to move around with. So before I merge it down, let's move it over. In fact, I could just leave it. That's not against the rules at all. All right, there we have it. Here we go. I'm going to drop down the opacity. Even though it's not affected differently by fill opacity, I'm still going to come in here and drop that down a bit. That looks a little weird, so I'm going to dim it even further, just like 3 or 4% maybe. There we go. Start to get that in. Now's a good time to save. So I'm going to call this let me move it on over to my desktop and everywhere that it needs to go. Here we go. And let me call this. It'll be assignment 7, last name, first name, and 1. Do name these correctly. That's something I can grade you on. So, keep that up. All right, so this is going pretty well. Let's go ahead and go to these other blending modes. What would fireworks look like? Probably not very good, but let's go ahead and drop them in. Seems like another good time to try a blend if, just to knock out those blacks. Look how quickly you can do that. Okay, so I've got the blend if effect happening. Whoops, I do not want to crop this. That is an accident. There we go. Now, what might be good is to have the background show through here. So let's take another quick look at the blend if, and the underlying layer, we'll just let it shine through in the event that it's light. And I'm going to set this to a lightning color. Now be careful. Notice right here, color dodge looks interesting, but the colors are starting to get really disgusting, so I don't want to do that. I've got those burned out effects. I want it to be a little more under control. Maybe let's try an overlay mode and see what something like pin light might do. No, let's do soft light. No, I don't like that. I'm going to move it back to just screen. And now that I'm in screen, I'm just going to knock that opacity down even more. So it's just a very subtle effect. So I'm just adding some stuff in that will come in. That's still too strong. I'm going to knock that down even more. So it's almost but not quite gone. Like 1 to 3%. There we go. So we've got some stuff happening. I don't know if it's very interesting, but we still have something. Let's look for another image that maybe we can blend together. Oh, this could be good. Drop this in. Oh, this is huge, but this could be very interesting. Let me zoom out a little bit. Oh, wait, I'm going to shrink something down. Time to convert it to a smart object first so that I can scale it back up later if I need to. Make sure you constrain it. Older versions of Photoshop will hold shift, newer versions will not hold shift. Alt so that it shrinks in. From the center. Oops, I made it too small. Good thing it's a smart object. Okay, eyes will tend to follow the line of eyes, so that will be useful. Let's knock out that black. Ooh, we have a few choices. Let's take a look at color dodge. That's picking up some of the underlying colors in a fairly interesting way. Let's go ahead and just one more time. We'll do lighten this time. We'll have her looking that way. So I'm thinking at this point it might be good to bring in something to kind of get the a unity to the whole image. So I'm thinking maybe like something industrial and just bringing that across the whole thing. Let's see what I've got in here that might fit that. Oh wait, rather than industrial, remember how gorgeous this amber was like all the time? Let's rather than divide. Ooh, oh, I like linear dodge add. That adds a little too much color. So let's keep playing with that. Multiply might be interesting. Color burn could be useful. Now we're losing the planet, but you know what? That's okay. I think that this is more interesting. I don't want to lose the eye though, so I'm going to bring her up above it. So now we've got him with all this red and we've got some texture coming in. I like where that's going. What would it look like with the earth above everything else? Still a little weird looking in this case. We'll come back to that, but this is going well. I'm going to go ahead and save. These are the videos I've already recorded. That's not where I need to go. Here we go. Oh, could we give him a green eye? Let's find out real quick. Probably not green, because if we do something like hard light, we'd have to do a lot of blend if adjustments to come in here and push that through. And that's probably not what we'd really want. All right, see how we can just roughly get a blend if going. Oops. Ah, wait. If I'm going to do transformation, I've got to go ahead and convert to smart object. Whoops. Now it's kind of messing everything up because I forgot to put it back to normal mode and turn off my blend if. I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and hit reset so everything goes back to default. Tell it okay. Whoops, I thought I reset it. Oh, reset, I forgot, does not affect blend if, so let me just clear that out real quick. All right, so smart object. We should name these. You don't need to watch me name them, so just a moment. There we go. All right, just real quick, let's see what we can do about this eye. I'm going to flip it around, image, edit, transform, flip horizontally. Oh, wrong layer, my bad. Edit, transform, flip horizontally. All right, so we got that. Control T, shrink this down a lot so it'll kind of fit over. Could even warp it if we so felt the need. Be warned, you shouldn't really have to do that. I'm actually not going to this time around because it's more about full object blending. Let's see if I can get this in. Let's double click it. Get the blend if. If it's white below, it's gonna come in. So that'll take care of a lot of it. Let's also hit up the different colors. If it's red, if we bring that in, that'll get rid of a lot of it pretty quickly. Whoa, a little too much. Let's leave those. Let's pop over to this layer, back on the gray, and we'll remove. Now there's not really a clean way to do this with blend if. We'd just be fiddling with it for an hour or two. So let's see what we can do if we just do something like screen on top of that, or lighten color. Let's do lighten. So we can have kind of a creepy eye effect I don't like that. That unnerves me. So I'm going to get rid of this. Feels like something's just sticking out. We'll stick here. I still think maybe an industrial texture would look good. Let's see if I have anything like that in here. Hell, stones and things. Let me go back to just the general copyright-free images. Well, I've got these guys, but... Oh, maybe this. That might work. Let's pop it over. Drop it in. Is it big enough? Sure seems to be. So I'm going to do some quick adjustments here. I'm just going to create a little dummy layer, a brightness contrast, and I'm going to set this. I don't need this mask. Delete the mask. I'm going to leave everything set to 0, but I'm going to change this to overlay. Boom, that looks a lot better. And now I'm going to convert this to a smart object. Both of them there. And now I'm going to do a transformation so as I can get out to an edge. Going to hold down the Alt key so that I can get it from both ends much faster. Here we go. All right. Constrain it. Now at this point, it would probably behoove me to have this as pure black in the background. So I'm going to double click to go into the city, and I'm going to add another dummy layer. Again, I'm just using brightness contrast, and I'm going to set it to multiply. Boom, that's about 3 f-stops in the direction I want, and it's nice and dark. Save that, close it once it finishes saving. Ba-da-da-da. Now look at that. Let's see how this affects things. Probably too much, but we can do adjustments. Kind of like how light and color is affecting. Hello, light and color. But again, we're in another situation. I don't want to mess up her face here. So what if I put her above everything else? Well, because she's unlightened, she's still kind of disappearing. No, my apologies, because the fill's at 20%. She's still kind of disappearing. So I can, at this point, increase the fill to something like 85. Okay, that's starting to look interesting. I think there's too much of this still. I'm going to knock down the opacity of it. You know, I don't like it. Not a problem. Just turn it off. Go ahead and save. I like this brighter. So I think this is a good start. Maybe if we just put some color on her to complement the color on him. So I'm thinking maybe a blue would be good. Now we can do that with the same amber and just invert the amber. So I'm going to move it up here, but I'm going to make a clipping mask, and that's fine. I'm just going to alt click so that it's not affecting anyone else. Control I, it's a nice non-destructive edit. And now she's blue. Grab the move tool. Let's see what we've got in here. Oh. Well, I like where that's going. So right now it's on color burn, but we have other options as well, like multiply, darken. We wanted to do that. We also have overlay. And some of the mixes. You know, pin light might look good over the entire image, but we'll take a look at that. Difference in exclusion. Oh, look at subtract on this. Well, subtract's really the same as color burn. All right, so we'll go ahead and use color burn. I'm just going to crank down the fill opacity on that so we can see her eye a little better. Maybe somewhere in here. Now that's 100%. I guess I'm digging it. We could go to 70 versus 100. I kind of like that bright blue, but I want to have it a little more under control, so I'm going to err on the side of a lighter blue. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I need an element, though, to go in over all of this black stuff. So I need something to go in here. So let's take a look at what I have. That might work well. I wonder if one of these would work. Let's grab them both real quick. I'm just going to toss them right into Photoshop and drop them up at the top here so I can have them both available. Going to duplicate one over to the other. So I'm just going to Control J. Sorry. I'm just going to, that's duplicate layer. I'm just going to go to layer, duplicate layer, to bring up the duplicate layer menu, and I'm going to fly it on over to 07 Greenberg-Eric-01. So we've got this, and I think it might fit well right in here. So let's see if I'm right. We want to knock out all the white, so what do we use? Probably something like multiply or any of the darkens, because those will knock out white right away. But again, I don't want it affecting the eye here, so let me just, oh, I like that. That starts to break up the composition quite nicely. What if I pull it up so that it matches the eyes? Also goes across the face. Ooh, that's looking really good. Let's try multiply real fast so that we have a lighter version. Nah, I kind of like color burn. Let's knock it down. Just a smidge. Okay, I'm kind of liking where that's going. Let's save. But that doesn't solve the problem of all of this black area, so we need to fill it with something else. What if we use one of these guys? Drag them on over, plop them on down. Now there's a lot of white in here. What do we do in the event of white? We want to knock that out with a darken color. Now, or maybe not. Maybe what we want to do is actually approach it a little differently and start knocking it out using our blend if. So we'll just get rid of anything that's white and blend that away. So that gives us these beautiful streaks of color, right? We've got quite a few of them. And then we can try maybe our saturation mode or hue mode. That looks bad. Or color mode or luminosity mode looks bad too. So let's try something else. We've got pin light. That could be really good. Kind of liking all the lines we're getting all over his face. It's still not fixing that black, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But real quick, I'm going to put this in color burn. Now I'm going to duplicate this whole thing, and drag it all down here so that we just have it. I'm going to set it to normal mode, so we have this under everything else. I'm going to scroll on up, shift click, so I've got everything up to that colorful little bit. I'm going to group it all together. Actually, I'm going to save first. Now I'm going to group it all together. So we have this one group. What if we do something like lighten? Whoa, what if we do something like crash out the whole computer? So if we do something like screen or lighten, we start getting those colors right away. Before, after. And now would be the time where I would not know if you went in with a mask, for example. Boom, that'll just knock that out. Oops, let go. So I could start filling these in. Now that I've got all of that, on this whole group, I can do a blend if, and I can knock out the black in here, but I don't want to do too much. I just want to do a little bit to fade things in. Okay, now that I've got that, I'm not liking these colors so much anymore, so let me go ahead and knock those down. In fact, what if I were to not use a blend mode on this at all? We'll just put it to normal. So here's our colors. The green's a little out of place, so this would be a good time to go in. I don't like all of these strange reds that are happening now that I've applied the blend if to it. Let's increase the fill on here. Yeah, so we got to watch out for that. So let's come in. Should be coming in from the lava. Oh, do we need the lava anymore? Do we want it just on him? Let's go ahead and alt click so that he clips down. Well, that's looking a lot better. This is a little out of place, and it's coming in from the amber. I can move the amber. I'm thinking we're not going to need those fireworks, and alt click, and that will get rid of all of that. What, are the fireworks doing anything? Not really. We can turn that off. Earth might need to be increased in opacity if we want any effect. Now it's looking a little less out of place. I'm not a huge fan of that hard edge, but with the other hard edges, I think they're coming in a little bit better. It looks more and more like a machine, Kind of like where that's going. Let's pop on over here. I'm going to lower the opacity a little bit further. Oh, that color is actually not coming from this. Well, that's interesting. That color is actually coming from one of these two. I want that color burn back. It's coming from this guy. So I'm going to clip him down. By dragging him down, the layer order won't make too much of a difference here. And I'll click. There we go. So that cleans up that eye. Now we're back to the eye and this causing the problems. So let's pop open our blend if. And I'm going to push through the overlying layer wherever it's bright. You know what? I'm going to push through the overlying layer wherever it's blue. Oh, wait, I need the overlying layer for that. My bad. So if I were to do this, let's see if this would work. I don't think so. But if I were to drag it all the way up, and then it's set to normal, but if I were to crank up that opacity, and then set up a blend if, and oh, I see, we've got that fade going on. Switch it over to blue. We can get her to show through very quickly because she's mostly blue. But now it's mostly removed, so I'm going to leave that alone. You can see how there's just a lot of exploration that occurs. So what am I going to do? Oh, I went too far back in time. Now is actually probably a good time to mask it because I would not know. So even though I say don't rely on masks from time to time, you can get away with it. I'm going to use a big soft brush. Why am I on overlay mode? We'll set it back to normal. That's kind of interesting. Now there are a few issues going on here. This amber is perhaps too powerful a color. We're getting some of those out of control yellows. You want to watch out for that. But he looks gross and sweaty without it, so we'll leave that alone for now. We'll revisit that in a bit. I want to have even less of this streak. So I'm going to come in here and just brush that out just like that. Now again, this is the only one I'm using the layer mask on. So even though I'm like, well, don't use layer masks, there are times you can use layer masks, and this is definitely one of them. All right, that's looking pretty busy. So what do we do now? We actually step away from the computer for a little while so that we can let our eyes readjust to what it's like without it. So let's pause it and look away. Actually, since we're coming up on half an hour, now's a good time to stop the video and we'll continue on part 2.